To be honest, I don't even know where to start, so that you don't take me for a madman. The fact is that 4 days ago I received an email from my good friend and user of our forum, Colibri07. Probably there is not a single person here who would not have heard of him, because it is no secret that he led a very active life in the topics of this site. But lately he has never appeared online, disappeared without warning, which was not like him. So, 4 days ago he sent me a Word file. I am giving you its contents here. The text is copied in full. I did not hide anything at his request. Think what you will, but after reading this, I felt uneasy. And knowing that Colibri07 would never joke like that, I believe him, and now I'm scared. My request to you is to spread this message wherever you can spread it. If you, of course, believe in everything that happened.
Hello, Starcode. At that moment, when I decided to write all this, I realized that I can only trust you. Others simply won't believe me, because they don't know me as well as you do. After all, we have known each other not for 2 or 3 years, but for almost 6 years, so I hope that you will believe me. I ask you to post this letter wherever you feel like it. Now I understand that a couple of hours remain until the end of my life. No, I don't understand. I feel it. I want to help at least someone who, like me, received or will receive in the future this unfortunate Harvest.doc file. It all started about a week ago. That evening, my colleagues and I gathered to drink beer, sit on a bench in the park, and just chat. We were given a bonus, almost for free. How could this not be noted? Sit down and drink. Alex, our deputy director candidate, asked me to mail him a couple of files about work. I agreed. Everything is fine. Home. I immediately sat down at the computer so to not forget to send these files later. Although I was almost not drunk. Launching Skype, I saw Alex online. Even then I was surprised how he got home so quickly. He had to go from the park in which we were sitting for about 20 minutes exactly. It's only for me a couple of steps and him at home. But you never know where he sits on the internet. It's not necessary in our age of navigation to sit only at a computer in order to access the internet, right? I knew he had a laptop, so I didn't bother. I found both needed files on the desktop and dragged them into the Skype window. I must say that I use Skype exclusively as ICQ, that is, I never intended to talk on a microphone or even a webcam. Alex immediately accepted them, but after the download, wrote not usual, thank you, see you tomorrow at work. Or, thank you, by the way, we had a great drink, we have to do it again, but send me some file. Common, text, word 97. I accepted by asking, what is this? In response, I received, check it, this is fun. Shrugging, I pressed the download and leaned back in my chair. But when I saw how much this file weighs, I returned original position. Alex, what did you stuff in there that the file weighs more than 100 megabytes? I asked with a smiling smile, although for some reason I did not want to smile at all. Download, you'll see. I received the answer. Alex did not write anything more. I waited for the download and in 20 minutes I opened this file. It was called Strange, Harvest. I also thought, some kind of nonsense, but still opened it, on my head. When I saw the first page, I jumped from the screen the way cats jump off water. My first thought was, a prank, a joke. After closing the file, I deleted it and emptied the trash, cursing on Alex and mentally squeezing his head between the doors so that he would no longer dare to joke like that. I left Skype and turned off the computer. The mood deteriorated sharply, and after the cheerful celebration of the award there was not a trace left. Already in bed, when I closed my eyes and tried to sleep, the photograph that I saw in the file froze in front of me. Full-page photograph of the girl's face, deathly pale, with bluish spots under the eyes. More precisely, under where the eyes once were. Instead, there were gaping black holes in the photograph. Some kind of disgusting beetle crawled out of the parted mouth. The girl had no teeth, only brown, as if rotten, gums, and a bit of gray hair that was visible at the edges of the photo. No wonder I thought this photo was terrible. It really was disgustingly creepy. In the morning, I got up with a slight headache and went to work. What was my surprise when, almost at the threshold, Alex jumped up to me and, smiling, said,
"How much did you drink yesterday that you forgot to send me the files?"
I stopped dead in my tracks. I looked at my colleague in disbelief. "Alex, you are confusing something. Yesterday you went on Skype immediately after leaving and I sent you everything. What did you send me? Do you think it's funny?" The man's smile faded before his eyes.
What? How could I go on Skype yesterday immediately after leaving? I had to go home for half an hour, and I did send you anything. I went in at 10:30. You were not there. Waited 15 minutes, then turned off. Maybe you fell asleep and dreamed about it.
I closed my eyes, trying to remember. No, I was not so drunk than to fall asleep so quickly, and that I dreamed all this. Although, what can happen when you're tipsy? Yes, probably. I'm sorry. Today I'll send everything to you. Alex smiled again, patted me on the shoulder and went to his office. I went towards mine. In the evening, as I promised, when I got home, I turned on the computer again and, after waiting for it to load, went to the kitchen to make tea. When I sat down on a chair in front of the computer, holding a mug of tea, I almost knocked it over myself. Right in the middle of the desktop was the Harvest.doc file, which I permanently deleted yesterday. All my shortcuts and folders are folded neatly around the edges, so couldn't miss this file exactly in the middle. Crap. Putting the mug aside, I permanently deleted this file again and connected to the internet, opened Skype. Alex was not there, so I sat, sipping tea, waiting for my colleague to appear and playing Klondike to somehow entertain myself. About 20 minutes later, Alex appeared online and without a greeting I immediately transferred the files to him.
Oh, thank you.
He answered me. "You're welcome," I wrote. "By the way, you still sent me the file yesterday. Today it turned out to be on my desktop again." Alex was silent for about a minute.
Listen, I told you, I didn't send you anything yesterday.
Staring skeptically at the monitor, as if Alex could see me, I opened the conversation history for yesterday. That's when a chill really ran down my spine, because the story did not open. It was absolutely empty. I turned off Skype and launched again. Emptiness. But how? I spoke with Alex yesterday evening. I sent him both files, and he sent me.
Look at the story and you will see that I didn't talk to you yesterday.
Alex wrote to me. I ran my fingers through the keyboard. Already looked. Crap. But who was talking to me then? And from whom did I receive this fucking file?
Which file?
I deleted it yesterday, and it reappeared today. I removed it again. I do not know what is this, but it weighs 200 megabytes. It has one page. All over the page is a photograph of a dead girl. Alex was silent again for a couple of minutes.
You do understand that I couldn't send you this?
Yes, probably, I replied, not believing my own words. Someone sent it to me. And not just someone, but from Alex's contact. Realizing that I couldn't take it anymore, I said goodbye to my colleague and turned off the computer. I decided to think before everyone normally, in a calm atmosphere, and finally solve all the questions that I managed to ask myself, but I could not find answers to them. Firstly, I thought, since they sent me a file from Alex's contact, it means that they either know his password or logged out from his personal computer. Alex lives with his wife, but she is a soft, modest woman. She would not play like that. So, this is either some kind of virus, but since the pirate version did not find anything, I decided to go to a computer store next day and buy a licensed antivirus program. It should be better. I somehow solved the first question for myself, so until the next evening I felt more than fine. Arriving home the next day and having unpacked the disk with the installation of the program, I turned on the computer and sat down at it. While it was loading, I read the installation keys, details, in general, everything that is needed for everything to boot up normally for you. But, having finished reading and looking up at the monitor, I immediately recoiled and almost fell out of my chair. Barely getting up, on shaky legs, I went to the computer and, without looking at the desktop, pulled the wire out of the socket. The monitor immediately went out, and the system unit fell silent and stopped buzzing. I stumbled back a couple of steps and stared in horror at the dark screen, from which black holes instead of eyes were looking at me just a second ago. It wasn't funny anymore. I got really scared. I live alone, so only I have access to my computer. By all means, I decided not to approach the computer for at least a couple of days, and then take it to specialists. Let them figure it out themselves. A couple of days later, as I wanted, without turning on the computer even once, I took the system unit to the nearest computer store, where they quite kindly answered me that they would help find the problem for a good fee. Having connected my monitor and keyboard with a mouse to my system unit and turned it on to man from this store, and I began to look at the monitor and wait for the loading. When the standard greeting appeared, I turned away so as not to see that terrible photo again, but just a couple of seconds later a man standing nearby clapped me on the shoulder and asked,
"So, what's wrong? Where is the file that is not deleted in any way?"
I looked at the monitor. Everything was absolutely normal, as if nothing had happened. On my desktop was my old wallpaper, Brooklyn Bridge. I looked inquiringly at the man. They looked at me the same way. Asked the same specialist. I swallowed and stared at the monitor again. Everything was the same. Nothing had changed, absolutely. No Harvest files, as if they never happened. "He's not here," I muttered. The man looked at each other and looked at me again.
"But a couple of days ago he was right,"
said the second. I nodded my head. Yes, I thought it was some kind of virus. The second shrugged.
"Everything is possible. Leave it to us. We'll take a look, check everything. Pick it up in the evening."
I agreed and laughed, subconsciously realizing that they would not find anything unusual, and maybe they would not even check. In the evening, I went to their store and they gave me my computer, saying that they didn't find anything strange. And even more so, there was no Harvest file on the computer in the past days. I nodded my head, handed over the money, and went home, thinking about the desire to throw the system unit into the nearest trash can. When I was going up the stairs to my apartment, I saw a small kitten on the spin between the first and second floors. 2 months is the maximum age. He meowed so plaintively that I could not help but take him, although I usually have a negative attitude towards homeless animals. Carrying a box with the system unit in one hand and a kitten in the other, I barely made it to the 4th floor and went home. Having released the animal, I went to connect the computer without booting it up. I didn't dare turn it on. Having done everything right, I called the kitten and took him to the kitchen to give him some milk to drink. While I was sitting and watching him greedily drink milk, I heard some kind of quiet noise. But looking at the open window, I decided that it was coming from the street. However, a minute later the kitten moved away from the milk, turned to the door with its snout, and hissed angrily, arching its back. Its fur stood on end and it continued to hiss. Stare caught. Would you know how many bricks I laid out then? Looking at the cat and shifting my gaze to the point where it was looking, I saw absolutely nothing, while I perfectly understood that the cat would not hiss just like that. Rising from the stool and walking around the animal, I went into the living room and almost yelled. The computer was turned on, although I perfectly remember that I definitely did not turn it on. The picture was again on the monitor, only even more terrible, as if the girl in the photo had begun to decompose, and some kind of download was going on. Moreover, too fast. I ran to the computer and unplugged the cord, then grabbed the cat and locked myself in my room with a key. I couldn't fall asleep at night, but I distinctly heard someone's heavy footsteps in the living room and how the computer turned on and off by itself. The cat was silent, frightened, pressing himself into the blanket next to me. In the morning, I called my friend, a computer master, and asked him to come and take the computer away, but he said that he was busy and couldn't even go out for a smoke, let alone go almost to the other end of the city. I approached the computer myself, but did not dare to throw it away. You never know what could happen. However, during the day everything was fine and I even, a little late, arrived at work. Everyone looked at me with such surprise, as if a dead person was walking in front of them. Only in the evening, Alex asked why I was so pale, and as if I had lost 10 kilograms. I brushed him off like a pesky fly. And now, at night, I'm sitting and writing this message on my laptop. The footsteps in the living room do not stop for an hour and a half, and sometimes they drum on the door with their feet and hands. I prudently took the cat in the morning to where I picked him up. I don't know how much longer I can be here alive, so I warn everyone who is reading this right now, never accept unknown files, especially Harvest.doc. It could cost you your life. Damn, the footsteps are getting louder. Goodbye.